Hello and welcome, my friend. This is a slow English podcast made especially for beginners who want real fluency, calm confidence, and clear understanding. Today, we'll learn English gently through slow listening, simple grammar, and an easy technique called shadowing. I'll speak slowly and clearly so you can listen, relax, and repeat if you like. You don't need to understand everything, and you don't need to be perfect. Grammar is not something to fear. It's simply a pattern, a guide that helps your thoughts make sense. As you listen, notice how sentences are built, how words connect, and how meaning flows naturally. Try shadowing by softly repeating what you hear, copying the rhythm and sound without translating. Little by little, your ears learn, your mouth learns, and your confidence grows. This is not fast English, and there is no pressure here. This is slow English for real learning, real grammar understanding, and real speaking progress. So take a deep breath, stay with the sound, trust the process, and let English become something you live with, one calm sentence at a time. As you stay with this slow rhythm, you may notice that your mind begins to relax. When the mind is relaxed, learning becomes easier. You don't feel rushed, you don't feel tested, you simply listen. And listening is the first door to fluency. Before we speak well, before we understand grammar deeply, before we feel confident, we must learn to listen calmly. So give yourself permission to listen without pressure. Let the sounds pass through you. Let your ears become familiar with English, just like they became familiar with your first language many years ago. Now let's talk a little more about shadowing, because shadowing is one of the most powerful tools for beginners. Shadowing means listening and speaking at the same time. You hear a sentence and you repeat it immediately, softly or aloud, following the speaker like a shadow. You don't stop, you don't translate, you don't analyze, you simply copy the sound. This may feel strange at first, and that is okay. New things often feel strange. But with practice, shadowing trains your ears to hear English clearly and trains your mouth to move naturally. It connects listening and speaking into one smooth action, and this connection is where real fluency begins. When you shadow, don't worry about grammar rules. Grammar will come later. Right now, your job is to feel the language, feel the rhythm, feel how words link together, feel where the voice goes up and where it goes down. English is not just words, it is movement and music, and shadowing helps your body learn this music without thinking. Even 5 minutes of shadowing every day can change the way English feels in your mouth. Now let's gently introduce grammar, because grammar does not need to be difficult or scary. Grammar is simply the structure of the language. It shows us how words fit together to make meaning. Think of grammar like the frame of a house. The frame is not the house itself, but it holds everything in place. In slow English learning, we don't study grammar in a heavy way. We notice it naturally. We notice how sentences are formed. We notice patterns. For example, I am learning English. I am listening. I am practicing. You can hear the pattern. You can feel it. This is grammar learning through exposure, not memorization. As a beginner, your goal is not to learn many grammar rules. Your goal is to become familiar with simple sentence structures. Simple present, simple past, simple future. Short sentences that describe your life. I wake up early. I work today. I studied yesterday. I will practice tomorrow. These sentences are powerful because they are real. They describe your world. And when grammar connects to your real life, it becomes easier to remember and easier to use. Let's slow down even more and talk about repetition. Repetition is not boring, it is how the brain learns. Children repeat words hundreds of times before they speak fluently. Repetition creates comfort. Comfort creates confidence. So don't worry if you hear the same sentence again and again. That repetition is building strong connections in your brain. Each time you hear a sentence, it becomes more familiar. Each time you repeat it, it becomes more natural. This is how fluency grows quietly, without stress. Another important part of slow English learning is patience with understanding. You do not need to understand every word. You do not need to understand every sentence. Understanding comes in layers. First, you understand the general meaning. Later, you understand more details. Later still, you understand grammar, tone, and nuance. This is normal. Trust the process. Even when you feel confused, your brain is still learning. Confusion is not failure. It is a sign that new connections are forming. Now let's talk about beginner confidence. Many beginners feel shy or nervous when they speak English. This is natural. You are using new sounds, new words, new structures. So be gentle with yourself. Speak slowly, speak softly. Even whispering is okay. Speaking quietly still trains your mouth. Confidence does not come from speaking loudly or perfectly. Confidence comes from familiarity, and familiarity comes from daily exposure. The more often you hear English, the safer it feels. The safer it feels, the easier it becomes to speak. Another helpful practice for beginners is reading aloud. Choose very simple texts, children's stories, short dialogues, beginner lessons. Read slowly, read clearly, feel how the words move in your mouth. Reading aloud helps connect grammar, pronunciation, and speaking into one activity. It also helps you slow down and stay present with the language. Don't rush. Slow reading builds strong foundations. Let's also talk about thinking in English, very gently. You don't need to think in long sentences. Start with single words or short phrases. Morning, tired, hungry, happy. These small thoughts help your brain connect directly to English without translation. Over time, these small thoughts become short sentences, and later those sentences become natural inner speech. Thinking in English is not something you force, it is something that grows through gentle daily use. Now let's return to shadowing again, because shadowing works best when it becomes a habit. Choose one short audio, listen once, then shadow it. Repeat the same audio for several days. This repetition builds deep familiarity. You begin to anticipate words. Your mouth moves before your mind thinks. This is a very important step in fluency. When speaking becomes automatic, confidence increases naturally. Another beautiful part of slow English podcasts is that they create a safe space. There's no judgment here, no pressure, no comparison. You are learning at your own pace, and your pace is correct. Fast learning is not always good learning. Slow learning builds strong roots, and strong roots support long-term fluency. Let's also talk about using English in small daily moments. Change small things in your life to English, your phone language, your to-do list, your notes. These small changes create constant exposure, and constant exposure is more powerful than long study sessions. When English becomes part of your environment, your brain learns naturally, without effort. Now let's talk about mistakes, because beginners worry a lot about mistakes. Mistakes are not bad. Mistakes are signs of growth. When you make a mistake, it means you are trying, and trying is the only way to improve. Don't stop speaking because of mistakes. Keep going. The more you speak, the fewer mistakes you will make over time. But even fluent speakers make mistakes. What matters is communication, not perfection. Another important idea is to enjoy the process. Enjoy listening. Enjoy repeating. Enjoy understanding one new word. Enjoy one clear sentence. Learning English is not a race, it is a journey, and journeys are meant to be experienced, not rushed. When you enjoy the process, you stay consistent, and consistency creates fluency. As we move towards the end of this session, remember this. And as you continue listening in this calm, steady way, something important begins to settle inside you. English no longer feels loud or confusing. It begins to feel organized, gentle, and friendly. When language feels friendly, your fear slowly disappears. You stop worrying about doing things wrong, and you start focusing on understanding and using what you hear. This is exactly how beginners should learn. Not with pressure, not with speed, but with patience and trust in the process. Now let's slow down and look more closely at grammar, because grammar is often misunderstood. Many learners think grammar is a list of rules they must memorize, but grammar is really a pattern you notice again and again. When you hear, "I am listening," "I am learning," "I am practicing," your brain begins to understand how English talks about actions happening now. You don't need to remember the name of the tense. You don't need to analyze it. Just notice it, feel it, use it. Grammar becomes clear when it becomes familiar. As a beginner, it is helpful to stay close to simple structures. Simple sentences give you control. They help you express ideas without confusion. I like this. I don't understand. I need help. These sentences are powerful because they allow communication, and communication builds confidence. Once you feel confident with simple sentences, your brain naturally starts connecting them. One sentence becomes two. Two sentences become a small idea, and slowly your speaking grows without stress. Let's talk again about shadowing, but this time with grammar awareness. When you shadow a sentence, don't just copy the sound. Gently notice the structure. Notice where the subject is. Notice where the verb is. Notice how words come in a certain order. English has a clear order, and shadowing helps your brain absorb that order naturally. This is why shadowing is so powerful for grammar learning. You are not studying grammar, you are living inside it. Another gentle practice for beginners is sentence transformation. Take one simple sentence and change just one word. For example, I am learning English. Now try, I am learning slowly. I am learning every day. I am learning at home. These small changes help you understand how grammar works in real life. They also help you feel more flexible and confident when speaking. Now let's talk about listening without subtitles. Subtitles can be helpful at first, but don't rely on them forever. Try listening without reading sometimes. This trains your ears. At first, it may feel difficult. You may miss words. That is okay. You're training a new skill. Over time, your listening improves, and better listening leads to better speaking. When your ears understand more, your mouth responds more easily. Another important habit is repeating aloud, even when you're alone. Speaking out loud activates your speaking muscles. It turns passive knowledge into active skill. Even if you speak quietly, even if you speak slowly, it counts. The key is consistency. Speaking a little every day is far more effective than speaking a lot once in a while. Let's also talk about daily routines. Choose one small routine for English. Maybe you listen to this podcast in the morning. Maybe you shadow one sentence in the evening. Maybe you think in English while walking. Choose something small and repeat it every day. Routines reduce effort. When something becomes routine, you don't need motivation, you just do it. And that is how fluency grows naturally. Now let's talk about mistakes again, because beginners often stop because they are afraid of making mistakes. But mistakes are part of learning. When you make a mistake, your brain learns what doesn't work. That information is valuable. So don't avoid mistakes. Welcome them gently, correct them slowly, and move forward. Every mistake brings you closer to clarity. Another helpful practice is listening to the same audio many times. Don't always look for new content. Old content becomes powerful when it becomes familiar. The first time you listen, you understand a little. The second time, you understand more. The third time, you start to notice grammar and pronunciation. Familiarity creates confidence. Confidence creates fluency. Let's also talk about speaking with kindness. Many learners speak harshly to themselves in their mind. I'm bad at English. I'm too slow. I make too many mistakes. These thoughts create tension, and tension blocks learning. Instead, speak kindly to yourself. I am learning. I am improving. This takes time. Kindness creates safety. Safety creates progress. As you grow more comfortable with slow English, you may feel ready to speak more. That is good, but don't rush. Speed will come naturally. Focus on clarity. Focus on comfort. Focus on understanding. When those things are strong, speed appears on its own. And now, as we come closer to the end of this session, remember this: real fluency is built slowly. Shadowing trains your ears and mouth together. Simple grammar patterns help you express real life. Calm listening reduces fear. Gentle repetition builds confidence. You do not need to rush. You do not need to compare yourself to others. You are exactly where you need to be. So continue listening slowly. Continue repeating gently. Continue noticing patterns. Continue trusting yourself. English is becoming part of you, one sound at a time, one sentence at a time, one calm moment at a time.